Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another FPL Top Guns. It's been 3 weeks since Luke and I did a chat like this. We missed one, and then it was international break, so it's good to be back. How you feeling, Luke?
Feeling good. I'm feeling good. How have you been entertaining yourself as?
Well, I've started World of Warcraft Classic again.
Absolute geek.
Yeah, so that's taking up all of my time. It's lovely, and yeah, I mean, I need something to entertain myself. This international break has felt really long, isn't it?
They're always long, but yeah, I don't like the first one especially because it just teases you, gets your appetite wet, and then just takes it away from you. I
Yeah,
mean, at
yeah.
least I've had in Sky, it's the overhaul, which is like a forced wild card that has to be used during this period. So I've spent most of my time focusing on Sky Team and what I'm going to do with them. So at least I've had
Oh,
something. But
nice. Yeah.
apart from that, fantasy's pretty much been gone from my head, and I've had the lovely joys of England to watch. So you know,
Do you do the goal scorer challenge?
I don't know.
That's quite
Yeah,
fun.
I should probably do it. It looks pretty fun, to be fair.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I had Ericsson in the first match against like Gibraltar or someone. He got 2 goals, and then I went for Fabian Shah yesterday, who did not score. He was against Gibraltar as well. Basically, just back teams in international break are playing Gibraltar. That's my
I mean,
method.
it's a pretty
Pretty
solid
strong.
theory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
poor old
I mean, they're not going
Gibraltar.
to do. They're not quite well beaters, are they?
Not
Might be
quite.
similar thing to back any team that plays Norwich at the moment with all their teams out. They're not far off
Exactly.
Gibraltar. Back line,
Exactly.
right in the
I
middle.
know. We're gonna talk about that. I mean, I am really upset that we missed the last one of these because you wildcarded, and I had many things to say about it. I didn't get a chance to because we missed the podcast, and then I decided to take a 8 point hit. So I'm sure you would have had some things to say about that as well. But I mean, I know it was ages ago, but I've got to go back to your wildcard. I've made notes.
Please do.
I've literally got notes on your wildcard team. I
Oh,
just
here
I
we go.
just can't understand why you did it.
Let me explain to you why I did it before you get into it. Okay.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, just before you do, here's what you did. Right, you did Heaton to Pope sideways. You did Trent to Wan-Bissaka, terrible. You did Zinchenko to Laporte. Okay, I can kind of understand that. But Zinchenko seemed a weird time to sell Zinchenko, seeing as he was pretty nailed on to play. I think you could have got a few more weeks out of him. But okay, you wanted Laporte, and he's got injured. That's not your fault. I'm not gonna have a go for that. You did Salah to Mane, risky. You did Perez to Mount. Okay, good move. You did uh, Jota to Greenwood.
No, I had Greenwood already.
Did you? You did Jota to. Oh, sorry. Did Jota to Keane?
Yeah,
Keane,
yeah,
who you then sold instantly the next week,
yeah.
and that was it. That was your wild. That's your wild card. That is your before Christmas wild card. Done. What were you think? What was that? What is that?
Okay. Number one reason, I'm weak. Let's get that straight out there. Okay, I've been clickbaited. Basically, I've been 100% clickbaited. I'm weak. I see a little bit of cleavage. It says click here now. It says you can have whatever you want. Your dreams will come true. I clicked it, and I got hacked, and my missus found out. It was not what I expected. It wasn't local housewives from Milton Keynes, sadly.
Oh
So
no. I
the
mean,
thing is, I always play it early. I always play it early, right? And I was sat there that night. You got to put yourself back to the night Man United actually looked decent. I can't remember who we played now. It's so long ago, but it looked like we were going to be pretty decent. I saw all these players I really wanted going up in price, and I just thought, do you know what? I'm only going to play it in 2 weeks anyway, so I may as well get the team that I want to get.
but like
And
who? Like you already had like Alexander Arnold, De Bruyne, Pukki. You had already had in all the players that were going up in price. You bought in Mane, Mount, Keane, Laporte, and Wan-Bissaka. What
yeah,
like?
so no, and Martial. So Martial was going up in price. Mount was going up in price. Who else was going up in price? Wan-Bissaka was going up in price.
Oh,
Liverpool
there's
defender.
Martial. Like, I didn't have Martial on my list.
Yeah, I got Martial in as well. So there was just so many people go up in price, and my squad value is really good now. But obviously, I had 2 great weeks and then 2 awful weeks since. But it was there was a tiny bit of method to the madness. But basically, yeah. I mean, if you could ask me to reset now, I would, because straight away, obviously, Salah goes and scores a brace, and Mane does nothing the next week. It's probably the worst, and
Hmm.
Liverpool keep a clean sheet. I think no, they didn't keep a clean sheet. Okay, yeah. Let me explain the Trent thing while I'm on it. Okay, Liverpool were due to play Arsenal. Now, let's bear in mind, I've been Trent's biggest fan up to this point. I even made you switch him in your wild card. I think you can own me for that one.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, not my wild card in my
I'm sorry, your initial
draft.
team. Yeah. Okay, I was his biggest fan. But going into this, we had concerns about whether he was even going to start. Some people did. I thought he was going to start, but, my opinion might be wrong. So I was like, okay, fair enough. In any case, I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet against Arsenal. Turns out they didn't, but they almost did. And I thought, well, I've got a plan to get him back in if I need to. I'll sit out this one, and then I can get him back in 2 weeks anyway. I only have to avoid him hauling against Newcastle, and I'll have him back in my team. That's my plan, to see it, like whether if he started that game, and obviously he did, and he looked amazing. I was like, right, I've got to get this guy back. It's like, I was just dumb. Man United are awful. Like, what was I thinking? I got tricked again by United. So the week after, my biggest mistake was picking Moise Kean. I thought, I've got to go for a punt, and I was going to have Trent, keep him, or I was going to go Moise Kean, or I was going to go Haller. And I chose Moise Kean, the one who did nothing out of those three people.
And then
he was going down in price.
And then when it was looking pretty likely that Moise Kean was going to start, you sold him for Wickham.
Yeah, because I'm restructuring my team. Like I said, 2 moves. So Trent's coming back in for my 4.0 defender. I was always going to get Trent back in 2 moves. I just hoped that Keane would get me something in those 2, which he didn't. And I couldn't wait because he was going down in price again. I wouldn't be able to afford it. So I made the mistake of going Keane over Haller, basically. If I'd have gone Haller, I'd be sitting there with, 3 goals he scored in those 2 games. Price rise. That it was the mistake, punting on Keane instead of Haller.
It's a tale of woe, isn't it? I mean, it leads us quite. I mean, so you're now you're thinking to yourself now. You got rid of Alexander-Arnold. You want him back more than anyone. Would you say he's just the player to have then?
Oh, without a doubt. Trent. I mean, it was just, like I say, I've been his biggest fan. I've always wanted him. But when you're in a wild card and they're, Liverpool are at home to Arsenal and they've lost their keeper and they've got tough fixtures coming up, and everyone who's in that frame of mind, they're looking quite dodgy. I'm thinking, well, I can give myself a little break of 2 games and I can get him back in 2 games if he looks the absolute world beater. I actually said, I just hope it's not Newcastle where he gets his 20-point haul. He wasn't far off of it. So I just got punished for making that move, just overthinking. I should have just left him in there and not even worried about it. But here we go. It happens to the best of us, Az.
It does. I think Alexander-Arnold, I mean, he's just a machine, isn't he? Like 11 points against Burnley. I mean, they should have been more, really. That goal, taking that goal off it was a bit harsh, wasn't it? I know it took like a deflection, but
honestly, my heart when that came up and said that he'd scored, because obviously I'd taken him out, I was like, no way. And then when he changed it to an assist, I was like, well, it's still bad, but it's not quite as bad. So,
yeah.
But yeah, he's what is he going to end up being the best value player in the game? Potentially, he will be.
I imagine so. I mean, we're talking about on the Scoutcast, and like 7.1 million for someone like Trent playing for Liverpool. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy value. Like when the clean sheets start coming around again, which they will, like he's going to be getting 10 plus points week in, week out. You would have thought, because he's just so involved in everything they do on set pieces. Putting in the crosses, scoring. I mean, it's definitely a cross that he tried to put in, but his crosses from deep are so dangerous. And then he's getting up to like the byline, and then he's taking set pieces. I think he's brilliant. You did well telling me to go with him over Robertson. Robertson owners must be absolutely kicking themselves because he's blitzing him.
I mean, I'm actually quite happy about that because like Robertson's been unlucky to get points, like without a doubt, and he is also great. But at the end of the day, I feel like sometimes being brave in this game, I like it when it gets rewarded. You know what we're like, and I think it was braver to go with Alexander-Arnold than Robertson, given what we knew about him just before the season started. Didn't he get benched in the Community Shield or whatever it was, or something?
He got subbed, didn't he? Subbed early, maybe.
That was what it was, which put everyone off. So all the safety people, all the people who were safe, because most people were on Trent before that. And do you know what? I'm just going to pick Robbo. Gomez is back up. And I'm quite happy that, therefore, Alexander-Arnold has drastically outscored him, because I like to, cheer for the people who want to make something happen, not just sit there with their Robertsons and their Van Dijks.
Got to make things happen. So have you brought him back in now then?
He's going to be coming back in.
So you missed his price rise last night.
Enough of that. The idea was to make money on this, and I spunked my load too early, and that's. I mean,
to be fair though, my team value is 100.9, and your team value is like 101.9. So you've got 1 million more. value for me.
That's pretty good.
So, I mean, that is at this stage of the season. That is pretty good. I think you're like 9 or 10 points ahead of me in the league. Obviously, I've still
10
got
points ahead, as every point counts. 10 points.
10 points ahead, but I've still got the wild card. So yeah, I mean, I think you could that million could pay off. I mean, people are doing lots of early transfers this year, and I mean, again, the international break, there hasn't been that many price rises. So someone like Jonty's wild carded over the international break, isn't it? And it's hard to get the value because players aren't going up 0.1, 0.2.
No. I would imagine a lot of people, this is the period where so many people will drop off in this window. This is where the initial excitement of a lot of people in their work leagues and stuff. It's been 4 weeks of football. They've done all right or they've done badly, for example. And then there's an international break where you have 2 weeks to forget about it and suddenly it will just drop from people's minds. Like they'll probably forget to set their team this week. I think there will be a massive drop off in this period. I think that's why Sky, obviously I worked with them a little bit in the game and stuff. They did their research, and that's the reason why the overhaul always comes as the forced one in the first international break, because their research showed that people drop off their interest massively at that period. So it's like a way to perk people's interest.
Right.
So I imagine it's the same for FPL.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because the more people that drop off at this stage, the more hopefully the better I can do. Because I'm around 600k, which I better look it up though, and I'm like 20 points off like top 100,000, I think, or something. So it's very, very early days. So I had a bit of a crazy week last week. I took a -8, and I didn't get rid of Sigurdsson, which is what I'm getting the most stick for. Because not only did I take a -8, I didn't get in De Bruyne, I didn't get in Aguero, and I still ended up with Sigurdsson. Which is a bit funny, but again, like similar to your wildcard, there was method in. I got rid of Jota and Martial, who was injured, and bought in Mount and Haller, which I think everyone would agree is very sensible.
That's good news. Yeah, let's talk about Jota while we're on it real quickly. What the hell,
Jota?
Yeah, he's so good. And I know they've got Europe, but what a tease! Because just before the season started, he was looking absolutely amazing, and since then he's pissed every time he's taken.
Even in Europa, he's looked absolutely amazing. He's scoring, assisting, getting all the points, and then he's going into the league. And I think before last week, he hadn't had a shot in the league.
Yeah, that's
in like 3 games. Yeah, and he's like going off. He's going over to the wing. Like teams are just kind of marking him out of the game. Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, I have full faith that he's going to hit a good run of form at some point.
Oh yeah,
but
good not to. But it seems like last season, doesn't it? Like he was obviously bigged up, and then he was awful the first half and amazing second half. So he might just be one of them players, like the anti-Richarlison.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's just too many. There's too many strikers who are looking quite decent, like Haller, Pukki. You've got Abraham now scoring goals, and then people are moving for Aubameyang. People have still got Kane. Like there is still.
Yeah, there's too many options.
There's too many. Moise Kean. Let's not forget him. Absolute baller.
Well, if the bloody manager would bloody start the guy, I mean, what's he doing starting Calvert-Lewin? I couldn't believe. Well, I did think he would start, to be honest, but he brought him on for 9 minutes. Yeah. And let me add to that. Did you see he set up Walcott and Walcott missed an open goal in the last minute? Oh my god!
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's not on your side.
I know. Well, I mean, I've got Sigurdsson still. I'm tempted to keep him for another week. My plan was to wait to see him in a team with Iwobi, Keane, like the kind of full strength Everton team. And I thought he was brilliant. Did you watch the game against Wolves?
I was working all over as well, so I've only seen the highlights. But yeah, from the highlights, he looked decent. They've still got decent games, and we already discussed Sigurdsson before. He's a player that if you're going to get him, you've got to kind of keep him the whole season. I think that's why I just deliberately avoided him, because I wanted to interchange that position. I've no doubt in my mind that Sigurdsson over the course of the season will be a good pick. He always has been whenever he's played.
The trouble is, if I want De Bruyne, I'm going to have to get rid of him, because I've got no other way of getting De Bruyne in unless I get rid of Sigurdsson.
I've actually got a theory on the De Bruyne thing. I think now the Champions League start, we're going to see a little bit of regression, not only because he's just been absolutely worldly so far, so I think it's natural there'll be a tiny bit of regression, but also I just think his minutes will slightly get managed a little bit around here.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right.
By De Bruyne, to be honest with you, right now.
I mean, his points so far, I said at the start of the season, I thought he was going to be a good option. I thought, he's going to I thought he'd kind of, slowly get his way to 200 points throughout the season. If he maintains his current rate, he's going to get 342 points. He's averaging 9 points a game. Like, where
Well, I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because he is that good, but
the trouble is, you look at the
yeah, it's
fixtures.
not going to happen.
You look at the fixtures: Norwich away, Watford at home, Everton away, Wolves, Palace, Villa, Southampton. Like, you,
Yeah,
I'm finding it really, really hard to justify keeping Sigurdsson in when I know De Bruyne's going to do well. He's in crazy good form. He's got Norwich away next. Like, even if he plays 60 minutes, like,
that's it, isn't it? It's the fact that even if he does just get 60 minutes, he could get ridiculous points. In a strange way, I think if their games are that good, you can almost argue, do they need? I mean, they didn't even need him to win the league last season. So it's like when you're around Champions League, we're yet to see it. We're all guessing at the end of the day as to what Pep's going to do, and we're yet to see what happens when the Champions League kind of kicks in. He got subbed off last game, 20 minutes. Is it 20 minutes for the end? 70th minute, I think, having already scored and assisted. Bear in mind, but still,
yep, 68 minutes.
Right. Okay. So I would be very surprised if he lasts longer than that again. And eventually, I don't think you can return every week. Do you know what I mean? He could come off after 70 minutes again. I would expect this week. And bear in mind, I think David Silva had the entire break off. Fernandinho's back. Do you know what I mean? He don't even necessarily need to start him if he doesn't want to. They're going to cream Norwich regardless, aren't they? I don't want to scaremonger because at the end of the day, he sat in my team and I'm pretty happy about it. But we don't know yet is the thing. And I'd be hesitant to bring him in for this game because I think this is one of the games of all others that I would expect to see his minutes managed in some way. Because he's going to want to play him against Shakhtar, surely. It's in Ukraine.
Well, he's going to want to play against Norwich. Anyone would want to play against Norwich.
Well, I mean, Pep. I mean, yeah, sure, he wants to, but Pep wants to play him against Shakhtar. And does he want to? I mean, again, it's all guesswork. Maybe he just plays him and brings him off early, but I think there's a chance he just plays Fernandinho, David Silva. He can play wherever he wants. I think they should win easily, shouldn't they?
Yeah, but he's going to start. He is like the most informed player kind of in European football at the moment. Like, Pep isn't just going to bench him. I can't see it. He'll take him off. He'll take him off at 67 minutes when the game.
I think that's the most likely. Yeah, that's probably the most likely. But
if I was advising someone, if someone said to me, "Who do I need in my team?" De Bruyne would be the first player that I'd say because he's the best player in the league, playing for the best team. And what I like
Trent would be number one, followed by him.
Trent, yeah. No, I'd still pick De Bruyne just because if you look at his heat map as well, especially compared to maybe even 2 seasons, it was last season, but right for the season before that, his heat map is so much more advanced than I've ever seen De Bruyne play before. He is wanting the ball, high up the pitch and making good runs into the box, which I've never really seen him do before. And that goal against Brighton, I mean, what was he doing there? That's not normally where De Bruyne's normally hovering outside the penalty area, waiting for like a long range shot or a pass or something.
De Bruyne always used to be a front three player, and he always used to be like. I remember Pep changed him into a deeper player. He never did that before, so I think his natural position was like just behind the striker or off to the right. That's where he used to play. But he played it for Chelsea, and he played it in Germany. And then when Pep got hold of him, he put him deep. So I think
that's my point, though. Even when De Bruyne was a deep lying playmaker, he was still getting 200 points in that season. He's now playing more advanced, and he looks so up for this season. Like, I think he just wants to. He's just so happy to be playing again, and he's just been given so much freedom to go do whatever the hell he wants. I really want him. I don't want to get rid of Sigurdsson before Bournemouth away.
Well, this is the thing. I'll come back to it. Yeah, great player. Would definitely look to try and get him in your team. But I think this week is the one week I wouldn't want to do it out of all weeks.
Really, away to Norwich.
Yeah, but you just said Sigurdsson just didn't he return last week and Everton looked good and now they've got their full team out and they're playing Bournemouth, one of the worst defences in the league. It just seems like a luxury move when you pretty much know that De Bruyne's going to have his minutes managed.
It'd be for a hit as well. I'd have to get rid of him.
And it would be for a hit.
Yeah,
Listen to yourself, as you're going on like me.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, actually, this leads us quite nicely. So I think one question that I was seeing a fair bit before last week was people wildcarding and having to pick out of De Bruyne and Aguero, because most people have got a City defender. Most people have got Zinchenko. You went a bit rogue and went for Laporte. The safer kind of pick, because you've got to think Zinchenko's probably going to lose his place eventually to Mendy. everyone's got Sterling because why wouldn't you? It's Sterling. So then you've got one more spot. What do you think? De Bruyne or you've got De Bruyne? Would you consider going for Aguero now?
Well, this is the thing. I wildcarded and Aguero played that week, but we didn't know about Jesus' injury. So it would have been very nice for Pep to let me know that, because then I could be sitting there with Aguero's points. Because I said on the Scoutcast before his latest return, as in last week, why on earth would you not have Aguero in your team if we know he's starting and he's playing 90 minutes? He's the best striker like the Premier League's seen for the last 10 years, or possibly certainly in the conversation as one of the best ever. He's on penalties. It's so good. He's just such a good player, and when he's bang at it, he's almost a differential. So thanks, Pep, for not letting me know that. I would have definitely gone Aguero given the chance. And I think Aguero is probably, at home, Aguero is probably a safer captain pick than any other player you'll ever find, I think. Even more so than Salah or Mane, because Salah wasn't great at home last season. So given their fixtures and everything, I would definitely be looking to get him in. But however, now I think there's a chance Jesus is maybe back after the international break or whatever. So I think now maybe we've just missed the boat a little bit. But then again, having said that, even if Aguero is getting 70 minutes similar to De Bruyne, and maybe we overestimate how much we rotate it, because we always see Jesus' shadows looming, but Aguero just keeps churning out the point. I think he's the highest point scorer in the game, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he is.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. He's got.
I think he is. He's got 40 points or something.
Yeah, he is. He's a high scorer. Yeah.
And yet again, because we've probably, that's overthinking for me. It's fantasy managers overthinking it a little bit. Your average casual person will come in and go, "What, Man City are the best team in the league? Aguero's the best striker? Yeah, straight in my team, captain. Thank you very much." And they've done really well.
What I can't understand is people being worried about Jesus. He's never going to start over Aguero. He played 1,000 minutes last season.
Yeah, I still don't know about that, because Jesus, I don't know. The bottom line is Aguero will come off on 70 minutes quite a lot.
Yeah, but we saw that last season, him coming off for 70 minutes. But
he could have obviously scored a boatload of points before that. So it's kind of psychological in a way. It's the same way when you get these people who don't play every game, but then they're massive points per million per game players like Leroy Sané and stuff like that. We avoid them because it's like an unnatural instinct, but ultimately it doesn't matter when you get your points. You still can get absolutely tons in any individual game that they play. It's like that's part of the reason why people didn't go Trent, right? They just didn't want him to be rested. But
the thing is, he comes off at 70. He's not going to come off at 70 minutes if they're drawing or losing, and if they're winning and they can bring him off, he's probably scored twice.
I'd argue Jesus is even more injury prone than Aguero as well.
Yeah,
it seems to get injured so often, and usually when his chance is there, like say
he's
Aguero,
not even playing. He barely plays, and he still manages to get injured. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
I don't know, around this Champions League. So what do you think happens? Let's say Jesus is back fit, right? You think Aguero plays 70 minutes Norwich, and then Aguero plays the Champions League as well?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I think he plays. He's their best player. He's one of the three. Sterling, between Sterling, De Bruyne, and Aguero, that's their three best players at the moment. So he's if he's regarding Norwich as an important game, which he is because it's the start of the season, and he's not going to want to drop points this early, Aguero plays. It's the first Champions League game away at Shakhtar, a really difficult game. Aguero plays. Aguero's going to play all of these games until he thinks there's an opportunity to give him a rest, which is going to be probably in the cups or when they've already qualified from their really easy-looking group.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm not going to argue that. It's just always that looming fear that maybe it will happen. But yeah, I probably agree with you. At the end of the day, the question then is, do you bring in a player who's worth 12 million on a belief and the fact that you pretty much know that 70 minutes is what he's going to get? Given his points return so far, that's still probably yes.
The biggest issue is that he's 12 million and Sterling and Salah are both also 12 million. So if you bring in Aguero and you have those two as well, you're basically having to play Cantwell and probably a 4.5 defender. Whereas...
Yeah, which isn't so much of a problem at the moment because obviously Cantwell's returning and defenders aren't really keeping clean sheets. But long term...
Exactly. Yeah, and you just become very reliant on those three players.
Yeah, they do nothing in 1 week and you have an absolute shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas De Bruyne at 9.7, that's like 2.5 million less. You can do quite a lot with that. You can do Cantwell to Mount You got to think Mount's going to outscore Cantwell, or you could do, a 4.5 defender to Alexander-Arnold if you haven't got him. Like I feel like there's a lot you can do with that money, and at the moment it looks like De Bruyne is matching sort of Aguero's points ish.
Yeah.
And it means you've still got two good captain options, because if you get Aguero in as well, you suddenly got this week you're looking at Salah and Sterling, and I'm thinking, who do you captain out of those two? That's a really tough decision. You had Aguero into that mix as well. It's like, wow, I don't know how you pick out of those three.
Yeah, first world problems, right? That is.
I know that is proper first world problems indeed.
At the end of the day, I think you have to have 3 City players for this run of games. I mean, I think you have to have 3 City players full stop. Forget the run of games. I've had it since the start. I had it since I wildcarded, and I'll have it all season unless things change. But for me, I think Zinchenko, I'm not as sold that Mendy even comes back in. This guy just seems to be an apparition most of the time. So obviously I went to Laporte because the rumours that Mendy were coming back. So I thought, well, if I'm in a wild card, I can't fix that later. So that's the reason why I did that. Although I still like Zinchenko and thought he would continue to start, I thought, well, if I'm not going to have the wild card in my back pocket, I need to address that now, and then I just don't need to worry about it.
But then you had a plan for getting Alexander-Arnold back in. So you were thinking quite short term with that.
Yeah, but I can only make so many plans. So I can't make like 50 different plans. You can't make them all at once, sadly. So I was just going to say, if you're going to pick 3 Man City players, I think Zinchenko is still the boy to go to, or a defender at least. I would still have De Bruyne. Then I honestly think it's a choice between Sterling and Aguero. If you were to wildcard now, there is rationale into just having Aguero over Sterling for a while. And then when seeing how it goes, and then switching back to Sterling, because I still think he's great and he'll play all the games, it will ultimately be the better pick. But for now, like, everything's pointing towards Aguero. He's the top scorer, right? So
maybe the question isn't De Bruyne versus Aguero. The question is Sterling or Aguero.
I think given their price of 12 million, I think that's a fairer comparison. It's like Sterling gets the points for clean sheets, the extra point for goals, but Aguero's got the penalties. So it's like they're quite evenly matched, I think.
Yeah.
It's easy to say Aguero now. Sterling was anonymous in the last game, but he's obviously been fantastic up to that point. So I'd say Aguero if I was on a wild card and have a plan to get Sterling back, because long term he's the better option.
So you're saying 3 City players is needed, but then you're telling me not to sell Sigurdsson. I think there's mind games going on.
You should have had it from the start, mate. I don't know what you're messing around at.
I know, nor do I. It's one of those ones, isn't it? Like, I don't know why I do this to myself. I call a player out, say they're going to be a great pick, and then I just don't do it. I don't know why I do it to myself. It's so much better when you back yourself and actually. Well,
I did it with Trent, didn't I? Dropped him after I've been bigging him up all season.
And here we are trying to sort of advise people.
It's just overthinking.
Yeah, it is overthinking, exactly. And it was annoying because when I set my team up at the start of the season, I even said to myself, whatever I do first, like my first team that I make, I should come back to this and I should think to myself, if these are my first thoughts, why have I gone for these players? And try not to change them. My first team, I had Alexander-Arnold, I had De Bruyne, I had Pukki in my first team that I made, and then you do just think. I did. I'll show you the tweet.
I'm joking. I'm sure you did.
Well, because I've always liked a championship striker. I always normally start with the top goal scoring.
I'll let you off because I also put Pukki in my Sky team before I looked at the fixtures, and then I was like, "Yeah,
that's exactly it." That's exactly what I did. But and then a part of that does become a bit kind of overthinking as the weeks go on, doesn't it? And you start thinking, "Oh yeah, no, they're right. Yeah, it's got rubbish fixtures, blah blah blah." Yeah.
But it's really counterintuitive, I think, the fixtures at the beginning of the season, because we don't have any form to go on, because you don't really take pre-season seriously, or I don't anyway. So we don't really have any form to go on. So you only really have fixtures. So we end up picking a team based on fixtures. But I honestly think that the biggest factor at the beginning of the season is just simply the fitness of the players. Like how well they've trained, are they playing good competitions? Do they look like they've been running around for 90 minutes? You know what I mean? I think fitness play and the fixtures are the least reliable for me at the beginning of the season in some way. Like Pukki's pretty much shown that that's the case. And there always seems to be that way, that you let the fixtures guide you too much. I think, after a few weeks, it starts to settle down. Everyone finds the same level of fitness, and the table starts to even itself out as to where people should really be. So I think if there's ever a time to ignore fixtures, it's often in the first 3 or 4 weeks, and that's just crazy because we don't have form to go on. So it's just like go mad, pick whoever you want. And to be honest, you may notice it in your work leagues and stuff. People who don't even play fantasy, who don't even know what they're doing, end up top of the league every single time after 3 or 4 weeks, just on random picks that they've got.
Yeah.
So I might just pick an auto select team next year and for 3 weeks, just see what happens.
Yeah, well, you'll probably wildcard after 2 weeks anyway, won't you? So it doesn't.
I mean, I've wildcarded after 1 week before.
I've got to admit, I was when I took this -8, I was looking at this -8 and I was thinking, Jesus, like, and I should definitely just wildcard. There's one was taking a -8 when I could have just wildcarded, and I haven't got De Bruyne or Aguero. So a part of me feels like I probably should have done. I probably would have made about 20 points or so if I'd done it. It depends on how much you think a wildcard's worth, really.
Do you want to own up to the text message you sent me before Salah's brace, by the way?
No.
This guy, right, who's taking the piss out of me swapping Salah to Mane, texts me before the game and says, "Are my fingers hovering over the button to do a -4 to take Salah out and put Mane in?"
Yeah.
I just sent him back a load of smiley faces cracking up. To be honest, I wish I'd have taken that opportunity to goad him into that.
I know, you were quite nice to me, actually.
And then he goes and scores a brace. But anyway, I'm not bothered about that.
The reasoning was that I thought I thought it would probably bite me. Anyway, I thought they'd probably score around the same points, but then I could have used that money to have done Sigurdsson to De Bruyne. So, like next week, so I would have taken the 4-point hit, just taken whatever happened on the chin, but then knew that I had the money, sort of going forward. But I'm glad I didn't. I'm sticking with Salah now. I think Mane and Salah are going to probably score quite similar points. But
I mean, Mane should have got a brace last week if Salah actually passed.
I know. That's bad, wasn't it? It's really bad. Yeah.
God.
I don't know. If I had Mane, I'd be happy, but I've got Salah and I'm happy. If I was wildcarding, I probably would switch to Mane, I think, just to save it.
Yeah, I put out a couple of tweets about it. I still think that come the end of the season, they're going to be fairly close to each other. Mane will be worth 11.5. Salah will be worth 12.5. You might slightly outscore him like he did last year because of the penalties and no Milner, maybe. But I think Mane does better on the bonus. So, yeah, I think it's like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the captain thing for me always. You have to talk about the captain when you have a players of those prices. And if you're going to be captaining a City player over this run for most of it, then I think you can get away with the extra million. Because at the end of the day, it's what you can do with $1 million. It's not just Mane versus Salah. It's Mane and, say, I don't know, Haller over Salah and Jota, for example,
exactly.
or whatever. And I think over this period, you can certainly get away with it. You know, later on, when I'm going to be captaining a Liverpool player a lot more often, I might decide to go with Salah because he's got penalties and stuff. We'll see.
The problem I've got with my team is if I want to do Sigurdsson to De Bruyne, I've got to save $1 million. And looking at my team, the only two players who I want to get rid of, not even I want to get rid of, the only two players who I could feasibly get rid of are Van Dijk and downgrade him to a 5.5 because I've already got Trent, or Salah to Mane. But now I've missed the boat on Salah to Mane because I haven't got enough money because Mane went up.
I wouldn't do that. To be honest, I think you can get away with the no Van Dijk thing because it's not like he's Trent and Liverpool's fixtures aren't that good. So I think you could. There will be a 5.5 or below defender that will score as well as Van Dijk over the next 6 or 7. It's just knowing who that person is. Like there's no doubt someone will.
I'll tell you who I am tempted by in a fairly sideways swap is doing Van Dijk to Matip.
That is rogue. It could work, but
I think at the moment Matip is, well, I mean, I don't think, I know he is. He is first choice. He's been absolutely incredible the first few games, and Gomez has been bang average. So I think Klopp likes that kind of mentality of, okay, you're on the bench, you've come into the team, every time you've played, you've been absolutely incredible. And you know, he scored against Arsenal. He was brilliant in the Community Shield. I think did he come off the bench and score or something like that?
Yeah,
and I think his pass completion is one of the highest in the team. I think at the moment he is first choice. So if I can get a run of games out of Matip,
I'd just go to Burnley or something. Burnley's games are great, like Peters or a 4.5. Any of them are. They've got Brighton away, Norwich at home, Villa away, Everton at home, away to Leicester, and then it's home to Chelsea and away to Sheffield United. But none of those teams really, aside from maybe Norwich, are really scoring goals.
But then I'm going from double Liverpool defence to double Burnley defence.
Hey, mate, it's only the brave, right?
I'm either going to go for Matip or Vertonghen, and actually Vertonghen brings me nice onto our next coverage because there's two teams who I think have got an amazing run of fixtures coming up, which is Spurs and City as well, but Spurs and
Outside
Arsenal.
City, yeah.
Outside of City, Spurs and Arsenal, their games look so peachy. So I'm trying to think which of these players do I want, and you haven't even mocked me for my -8 yet when I took Trossard out for Ceballos.
I don't think I need to. I think it speaks for itself and also, and also when I've had an absolute shocker myself, sometimes you just have to sit there and take it, right?
Yeah, you're being quite nice. Well, I think I was looking at that move as a complete separate. So that was away from the other hit. I was thinking Trossard is away at City. If I'm going to get rid of him for Ceballos, which I want to do because I've said all through the season I like him, and I want him for this run of fixtures that Arsenal have got. If I'm going to get rid of Trossard for Ceballos, I might as well just do it now because Trossard isn't going to do anything against City. And actually, I was lucky because he should have scored, but he didn't.
Yeah, didn't he have the highest expected goals from that game?
Yes, he was fantastic, but he didn't score, which I knew he was going to blank in that game. And then I went into Sunday thinking, all I need from Ceballos is just anything, a little assist or something. It's really going to justify this move, and he gets benched.
That's Emre for you, man.
But
and not only that, like I messaged you before, it looks like Pepe's on all set pieces now because when they're both on the pitch, Pepe's taking it all, so he's lost there. So
well, that would suck if he has. But I didn't. When I wanted him before the season started, I'd never even occurred to me that he'd have set pieces. So to me, he's still a 5.7 mid who's either going to be playing a Ramsey role or an Ozil role.
Well, yeah, or a left wing role or whatever,
or a bench, or a bench
role, yeah, or just literally sat there. May as well be a spring role if Emre's in charge. To be honest.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. The thing is, though, he played 27 minutes against Spurs, and he completely changed the game when he came on. He is too good.
Yeah, but there's plenty of players like this. We've always known them that are really good, but at the end of the day, there are reasons why they might not be necessarily fantasy. Now, I'm with you. I think he's great. I think he's a baller. They've obviously got great games, and he's still a good price. So I think it still could work out quite well. But it's just Emre scares me so much, man. I mean, now they've ended up getting a couple of central midfielders injured, I think, over the international break. So I've no doubt in my mind that Ceballos will play centre midfield or number 10 or whatever, somewhere in an advanced midfield slot. But I don't know.
I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited.
That's annoying because Pepe's just come in and taken them all off of him, which I didn't expect, to be honest with you. But it looks like he has.
Well, that's just based on that Liverpool game, right?
No, because there was the game before that where either Ceballos or Pepe came. I can't remember which way it worked on, but basically, as soon as Pepe took to the field, he took all set pieces, and then in the next game, he also took them. So when they've both been on the field, I don't think Ceballos has taken a single set piece, and that's included a sub appearance and a full appearance.
Interesting. Well, as I said, I'm not going to worry about that because in some ways, I want Pepe on the field anyway because if he's playing, Arsenal are a better attacking team, so Ceballos is more likely to get returns.
If he can sort out his end product, then he really looks like a player who could do some absolute bits over this run. As I said, that's what we're saying about Arsenal's run. Him and Son are basically, when you said about who would I want from Spurs or Arsenal, they're still the only two players that really interest me. The games are great, but Aubameyang interests me, but I can't get a striker that much. Might be a mistake, but it's not the strategy I'm going for. So Pepe or Son are basically the two that I really like. But then we're just in that position where De Bruyne is just got great games as well and is also looking excellent. And again, it just feels like maybe just overthinking. Like, I can quite easily sit here and think, I could swap De Bruyne for Arsenal, get Pepe or Son, and get a nice little differential over that run who could score a load of goals. Yeah, I could, but it seems like a bit of a vanity transfer. And to take De Bruyne out is about the only way I could personally do it.
Yeah, I think the one solution. I mean, I'm not advocating doing it. I'm not intending to do it, but you could, in theory, drop Sterling for De Bruyne. And so what you were saying earlier about it's not just Sterling to De Bruyne, because then you have like an extra 3 million, and then you do someone like Mount to Son.
Yeah, and to be honest, the fantasy community is so like fickle in that way that if Sterling was to blank against Norwich, then people would be sitting there saying, "Do we take him out of our team? He's 12 million. He's done nothing for 2 weeks." And then let's say Pepe or Son do well, which they could easily do in these two games. I think that was it home to Palace for Spurs and away to Watford for Arsenal.
Yep.
So you could easily see either of those two scoring. I thought Son looked really good in that Arsenal game, by the way, just from the highlights that I saw.
Yeah.
I don't know how well he played the whole game, but he had a couple of really good shots, I thought, and just looked lively as usual. So, yeah, Sterling blank, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way, but let's say he does, and Pepe or Son score, then you will suddenly see people going, well, I can free up some money here, and this guy's scoring loads. So you never know. Watch this space.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be if Son gets a brace or something against Palace, or if Pepe gets a brace against Watford, it is going to make myself included think of how I could get one of them into my team.
Yeah, the thing that I always just keep coming back to in my mind is, yeah, Arsenal and Spurs have got great fixtures, but they both just haven't looked convincing. And any move away from having 3 Liverpool or 3 City, even over tough fixtures, just seems like madness because they're just so far and away the best teams in the league, and they were last season, and I don't see it changing. That it's almost like that art, I want to say, or that thing of looking where you can make an advantage with some fixtures and stuff may even be going out the window. I think fantasy is becoming like too easy now because it's like Real Madrid. It's like being La Liga. It's like having Barcelona and Real Madrid. I doubt anyone over there does it any differently than pick, Messi, Ronaldo, a couple of other Madrid and City and Barcelona players if you've got any more money left over, and then a bunch of scrubs. And it's heading that way, I think.
Yeah, it is. And actually that leads nicely on to the next question, because it means if everyone is kind of adopting that strategy, which I think majority of people are, it means the captaincy is even more important. Because when you've got a decision like we've got this week, where Liverpool have got Newcastle at home, right? At the start of the season, I would have said Newcastle at home was probably the best fixture like you could have, but they've actually shown a little bit more resilience than I thought they would. They only got beaten 1-0 by Arsenal in the first game. They got hammered by Norwich. But you can't withstand Pukki for forever. But then they beat Spurs, and then they've got a draw with Watford. I mean, they're doing better than I thought they would, to give them credit. And then you've got City away at Norwich, and you have got the worries about rotation. You have got worries that players could be subbed off at 67 minutes. I mean, who have you got the captain on at the moment?
Mine's on Sterling, but I mean, Liverpool have also got Napoli, which is a much tougher game than Shakhtar. It just doesn't have, obviously, the amount of travel. But the thing with Klopp is he plays Salah to the end pretty much regardless, doesn't he? That's the thing that, like, often you're sitting there thinking you're 4-0 up. Salah, you've got Champions League next week, and he's just left Salah on the pitch. And people say, why is he doing that? So I don't necessarily think that's going to change. So I can see the argument for going for Salah because they're at home to Newcastle. He'll probably play 90 minutes. He's obviously a great captain. Same for Mane. And then with City, the points seem to get spread around a little bit more. In my mind, I think City will win by more goals. They'll probably win 5 or 6-0 or something. But the points will be more shared. Whereas with Liverpool, they'll probably do what they always do, and it'll be like a 3 or a 4 maybe. And Salah, Mane and Firmino will be in the points, along with the fullbacks, potentially. It seems to be like a set pattern, whereas with City, like David Silva pops up, then Gundogan pops up, then, just any single person. They bring on subs and then they score. Bernardo Silva and Mahrez just changing points.
But then it could be Sterling involved in all 5.
Exactly. So it's like, for me, City are capable of scoring more goals, and Sterling is very likely still in my mind to get 90 minutes. So that is pretty much why it's on Sterling for me. And I don't think that will change for any reason. If they win another, what was it? They win 4 or 5. If they win another 4 or 5 and he gets no points, that'll be pretty tough to take, though.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe he got no points against Brighton. I thought he was gonna eat us alive. Especially when I saw we put a new centre back in who hasn't played it. We paid 20 million for him. But he's like a
Weber, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Webster. Yeah.
I know your players better than you, Az.
I know. No, well, I was not using his. I didn't want to confuse you.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, we got battered, but it was interesting that someone did a side-by-side comparison of Brighton last year versus Brighton this year against City, and we had more of the ball, we had more shots. We still the same result, but we actually went and, tried to play them their own game, which was interesting. But I don't know how well that's going to do us against some of these top sides. Anyway, yeah, Trossard was good. I do miss him having him in my team. I'm captaining Sterling as well. I just think Newcastle could frustrate Liverpool because I didn't think they could frustrate teams, and they have done now twice out of 4 games. So
I think it's another perfect game for Trent. They're going to sit deep. Trent's going to be pushed right up again, and he'll be crossing the ball endlessly into the box.
Yeah.
Firmino looks on absolute fire, like the whole season. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trent and Firmino are in the points. But Salah and Mane, they probably will be because they always are. But I think, it'll be a little bit harder for them in this game, I think, than people might expect.
Trent captain.
There's not as much space. I could see that. He got 11 last week, and he could easily get 20 in any game. It's just very tough to do it on a day when Man City play in Norwich, when they've got half their team out injured. That's the other thing as well.
Yeah,
they've got no fit defensive midfielders or even centre backs, I think. So,
and again, this is another reason why De Bruyne becomes a good option, because if he's taking the free kicks and the corners, and they've got no decent centre backs, you got to think someone like Otamendi, if he plays, or any of their forwards who can score headers, like they're gonna be relishing going up against whoever Norwich decide to play at centre back.
Yeah, and I still think if you've got Pukki, I think that was one of the other things we've written down as to whether you would play him in that game. I personally would still play him in that game. It's obviously going to be dependent on how good your team is, but I think your team has to be pretty damn good not to play him in that game for me.
Well, you say that. I'm benching him at the moment for
what the hell?
Jack O'Connell.
That's just madness. Absolute madness.
Oh, he's at home to Southampton. I think that's got 1-0 written all over it for Sheffield United.
Southampton, these teams attack, man. And they'll be, Sheffield United being at home, they will attack as well. There'll be goals in that game, I think.
Well, I don't know. I don't think Pukki's gonna score.
Well, put it this way, right? Man City will get careless. They'll be pushed right up trying to attack. Yeah, Norwich might not have any players, but Pukki just needs one chance, as he showed against Liverpool. And their centre backs will be Otamendi, who at the best of times wasn't the greatest of players. Like, he did have a really good season, to be fair to him, once upon a time, but he's obviously been out of favour. He's rusty. He's not playing full team. And then you got Stones coming back from injury, so I don't know whether he comes straight in. But as you know, you're his biggest fan, aren't you? You think he's an absolute clown. Plus, so let's say he may play or may not. But if he doesn't play, then you got Fernandinho at centre back with Otamendi. Now, I think he might do that because he's been training at centre back apparently. So they're going to be good at passing. They're going to bring the ball out, but I think they'll give up a chance, man. And I could see a Pukki goal over a Sheffield United clean sheet.
I see. I don't. It's going to be difficult for Norwich to score when they just don't have the ball. Like, they're just going to get completely outplayed. They might have one chance, so you're relying on Pukki scoring.
All he needs, one chance is all I need.
I like O'Connell. It's not just about the clean sheet. He's an attacking, marauding centre back. That's why I started the season with him.
Well, you're a brave man to bench Pukki when everyone will be playing him. Think of that ownership as.
Yeah, I know. Well, that is true, and I think that, to broaden the question out a little bit more than just my own Jack O'Connell versus Pukki debate, I think it does come down to that quite a bit. Is if you're thinking about, should I play Pukki or someone like Kelly or someone else who's someone else you just think that you're just basing it on the fixture, kind of like what I'm doing. It is
Lundstrom.
Yeah, or Lundstrom. I think will probably be I think that'd be quite a big debate, wouldn't it? Lundstrom or Pukki. I think the question, the answer does kind of come down to ownership a bit at this stage, and if Pukki scores and everyone's playing him, it's gonna cost you.
It's one of those things I'd advise to someone else, but take no notice of myself. I wouldn't care about the ownership.
Well, it's the trade-off, isn't it? Because I just find when you've got a player like that who's really highly owned and he's playing in a fixture like City, that does give you the opportunity to take a bit of a risk and play someone. Because if I play Jack O'Connell and Pukki scores, that's going to be 4 points?
Yeah,
4 or 5 points.
At the end of the day, it's not. Yeah, this decision is not going to hurt you unless Pukki hits 2 or 3. But I would argue that it's more likely that Pukki could get big points than O'Connell. So It's
Nah.
not. Yeah, whatever. We're just talking about your team now, rather than
The trouble
everyone.
is when you say it like that, it makes so much sense. But I don't like that.
He just scored 2 goals over the. I think they were penalties, but apparently, and I've not seen it, but against Italy, I think they played, and he scored a penalty after scoring the week before that. But I think he may have won the penalty, or it was involved in winning it in somehow, and he's danced past the entire Italy defence to get it. Like
Yeah, I mean,
really well.
form-wise, he's absolutely electric, isn't he? I mean, this is the thing. I think we're both in agreement. If we're advising someone, if someone's listening to this and they're saying, "Should I play Pukki or Lundstrom?" You play Pukki. That's our advice. But
I think, yeah,
doesn't
I
mean I've
can't
got to
see
do it.
not to play him. I mean, I say he would have to be absolute worldies not to play him. I think because you're just asking for trouble. But ultimately, what is going to cost you like 4 or 5 points, like you say, worst case scenario. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I wouldn't overthink it. I'd just play him.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to risk it and hope for an O'Connell 15-pointer. But yeah, you're probably right. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. Okay. So just quick. I think we've covered most things. I think so. With Spurs, the only player you'd consider would be Son.
I wouldn't consider anyone else at the moment. I don't see anything else I like from Spurs really, apart from Son. Still think we've had the Kane discussion a lot. I still think that he's got some great home games. I mean, he's got Palace at home, Southampton at home, Watford at home in his next 3. And in between that, he's got away to Leicester and away to Brighton, which are both like not the hardest of games, although they both look pretty good teams. So that run there, you'd expect everyone to be jumping on Kane in the past, but he just doesn't interest me at all. I just don't care. He'll probably score a couple of penalties. He'll probably do all right. He'll probably even be worth 11 million in that run, but I just can't bear to watch the guy on my team, so I'm not going to be having him.
I completely agree. And I don't know, I've mentioned heat maps, I think, more in this chat than I've ever mentioned heat maps in my life. But I looked at his heat map recently for the last couple of games. The places he gets the ball are just insane. Like he's got like I think he's got like more touches in his own penalty area than he has like in the second half of the pit. Like he's got more touches in his penalty area than he has on certain places like up on the pitch. Like why is
I
he
think
getting?
the Arsenal goal where I can't remember his shot now. Basically, Ericsson scored the goal when Leno made the fluff of a save, which wasn't really. That's where you want Kane to be. Yeah, Ericsson is there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how many goals he's going to get this season, but I cannot see him getting 20 goals if he keeps on playing. Where
I think he'll still manage it.
Even playing in this deep lying kind of role.
He's just done it. He's done it every season he's been playing,
but he's been getting deeper and deeper and deper each season. He wasn't playing like this 2 years ago.
He was certainly more advanced, but I honestly think Dembele, the loss of Dembele and Dele Alli has affected him a lot. I think Dembele break the lines.
And Ericsson, because Ericsson has been in that team.
Yeah, and that's half the problem with Spurs at the moment. You just don't really know who's ever going to play. They change formations, they change personnel, and they've done it for so long now. And the only consistent thing is Kane, but he just gets knackered come the end of the season every time. So.
The other problem with Spurs is their defence, because you think they sold Trippier, so they're playing sort of Walker Peters, or it's going to be Foyth, isn't it, or Aurea? They're average. You've got Alderweireld, who was pretty close to a move, from what I understand. You've got Sanchez, who was awful against Arsenal, looked completely out of his depth. And then on the left, you've got Danny Rose, who I think they almost sold as well.
Yeah, I don't think he's interested in being there anymore, basically.
Yeah, what are they doing? Like, what is that defence?
I don't know.
Problems.
Yeah, and Lloris looks good one week and then has a shocker the next. I still think Rose is a decent player, but he's been hampered by injuries quite a bit. But he looked good in the last game.
I like Danny Rose, but it is weird when I read something before the transfer window closed that he was like all set on a move to like wherever it was, or like I think didn't Pochettino come out and say, "Oh, he's completely free to leave. Like if he finds a club, like we wish him well."
I think it's something like, you remember Esso Okoto basically came out and said, "I don't really enjoy football anymore. I do it as a job." Like I think Danny Rose is like following in his footsteps. At least that's what it seems. Like he seems a bit into it. There might be other things going on. I don't want to slander the guy. You never know what's going on in people's personal life, do you? So I don't know. He just didn't seem that a combination of that and injuries just he's looked more disinterested as the years have gone on. But I did think he played well against Arsenal. So
Yeah, I
maybe...
mean, I'm not at all slandering. I'm just making the point that when you've got that to me is that's a damn unsettled defence.
Yeah. And like I said, the centre midfielders get injured all the time. You never know who's going to play. It's basically Heung-min Son for me is the only one I'd look at. I'd consider Kane, but because there's too many other options, I'd dismiss it. And that's pretty much it. I wouldn't go anywhere else at the moment.
It's crazy, isn't it? So you think Spurs have got this amazing run, and the only player we'd consider is Son, and then we can't have Son because we've already got Sterling, De Bruyne, Salah. So there's literally no options in Spurs. And Arsenal, and this is kind of why I've got Ceballos, because although it feels a little bit like coverage, I'm not paying 11 million for Aubameyang. I'm not paying 9.5 million for Pepe. I want an Arsenal player in for that run.
See, this is what I think. I know you hate their defence, but that Kearney is apparently when I've watched him, he's looked really, really good. And I think when Bellerin and Kearney are back, fullbacks are so important to teams, aren't they? And I think their fullbacks are just shocking at the moment. To be honest with you, well, not shocking. I mean, they've done all right. I mean, the young kid at right back's done okay, but I just think
they're shocking. I think you're all right to say that. The whole defence is a joke.
But I just think if they can get class players in those two positions, it's going to help out the team as a whole massively. And although I wouldn't expect too many clean sheets because it's Arsenal, but that run and having an attacking fullback would be interesting. So I really hope that Kearney's coming back. I mean, I thought it was listed on Fantasy Football Scout that he was back after this international break, but I've heard no rumours or news about that. And then a fan told me it was looking at October. So I don't know if we're back in time for the run, but that would be the only place I'd really look. Is like what you said, you need to get rid of Van Dijk, like a Van Dijk to a Kearney if he was fit. And could be a cheeky little move over the next few because Liverpool's fixtures are so hard in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I had Kolasinac last season, and whenever I had him, he delivered. He was getting assists, he was getting goals, he was playing at wing back. He was never getting clean sheets, but who cares? When you've got a player, I think, and from seeing Kearney as well, he's a player who basically just hugs like the line and just plays really far up the pitch.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he can come down in price a little bit more, and then if he looks good when he starts playing, he might be a cheeky option. But I think this season is going to be pretty much that picture we've laid out. It's going to be everyone's going to have triple City in Liverpool, and do you dare take the risk to branch out from that on little select periods? And there will be times when it may work for a little period, but there'll be times when you do it and it just completely backfires because the fixtures don't mean anything. I mean, Liverpool are playing after this Newcastle game away at Chelsea. Then I think they've got another away Sheffield United, not an easy game. Home to Leicester, not an easy game. Away to Man United, home to Tottenham. And then they go away to Villa and home to City. That's not a great run by any means. Yet there's still people who'll be sat there with loads of double Liverpool players, defenders in the team. And I wouldn't sit here and tell them to remove them because they'll probably still do it right.
That's it, isn't it? I mean, that run for any other team is pretty savage. But you think Chelsea away, Chelsea are pretty dreadful at the moment. You can see them getting a clean sheet in that. Sheffield United away, you can see them getting a clean sheet in that. Leicester at home. Leicester haven't really clicked yet, have they? They might have done in a couple of weeks, but... And then United, well, they're rubbish. Tottenham, they haven't started the season very strongly. It is crazy just how big a gap there is between Liverpool and City and the rest of the league. It's just unbelievable. Where is the competition?
Yeah, and I said this beginning of last season on Twitter. I think I said it's going to be the same as last season, and I got slated by someone. I can't remember who it was, but saying, "Well, it doesn't repeat that pattern. That's rubbish. You can't know that." Like people were saying that before, and unless not that long ago since Leicester won the league and started going on a bit like that, and I was like, "Yeah, it's not." But I don't think we've had it like this, where City have just got all the money and can do whatever they want, and they've obviously got one of the best managers in the world, made a god team. And Liverpool have got a great manager. They've had loads of really good youth come through, and they've just had one of those like golden periods where they've bought a bunch of players who have just turned out to be absolutely amazing, like Mane, Salah, Firmino, for example. And then they've also had the youth of like Trent and stuff come through, and they've just hit everything together at once, which, long term, if Pep was to say, I think City will continue to dominate for years and years and years. Liverpool, they might drop off eventually. But for now, I can't see any other team challenging them for like the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, I think it
moves quickly, but
it's coincided as well, hasn't it, with Chelsea getting a transfer ban and Lampard coming in. No one's kind of really expecting much one from them. I mean, I'd say if he gets a top 6 finish, then he's probably he's probably done all right. I'd say.
Yeah. If you take out if you took City and Liverpool out of the league, it reminds me of the league that Leicester won it because every other team was in transition.
Yeah, exactly.
Like even City themselves were in transition at that point, Mancini and stuff, and they managed to win it because everyone else was pretty much rubbish. Which
But then
maybe
you look at United and Spurs, and they shouldn't really be in transition. Like United have now, okay, you can say what you want about Solskjaer, but he is the kind of manager that they were happy to give the backing to. They've bought him a nice new centre back. They've bought him, some decent players. They've got rid of quite a few players who he didn't want. So he's got he knows how he wants United to play, and he's got the players that can play that way now. So it's not really any excuse for them to be struggling as much as they are. And Spurs, like they've spent loads of money over the summer, and they just don't look right. There is just something wrong with Spurs, I think. And Ndombele, whatever his name is, looks really good. I'm sure Lo Celso is going to be good when he comes in. But then defence-wise, they're just all over the place. So, and then Arsenal, I mean, Jesus, I mean, David Luiz, the saviour for the Arsenal defence. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I did say to you at the beginning of the pod that David Luiz is a good centre back, and I wish to retract that statement after last. No, I still think he's good, but he has been. I mean, that he is basically responsible for that Salah brace, as far as I'm concerned. If he wasn't on the pitch, Salah wouldn't be having that. So now I hate him. But
he is a dreadful centre back.
Nah, he's good. He's just been bad so far.
Absolutely dreadful. Can't stand him. I would hate to play with him.
Yeah, play alongside him might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like at the start of the season there was a bit of optimism about Arsenal have just smashed their transfer record. United have got an identity again, and Solskjaer's going to get them kind of playing how he wants. And Spurs have just got to Champions League final, and it's like after 4 weeks that just seems completely dead now. Like it's just literally going to be Liverpool City.
I think it's Liverpool City. Every game they line up, they're favourites by a long way, and will almost certainly win. It will be crazy to even think that they'll draw. Obviously, they will occasionally, but every other team can beat anyone. I truly believe that every other team in this league can beat everyone on any given day. Like every team looks half decent now. Like really, there's a few exceptions, but then they go and prove me wrong. Like Newcastle, I thought would be rubbish. Yeah. Palace would be rubbish. They've ended up getting points and beating us. Palace, for God's sake. Teams like West Ham, Norwich, Bournemouth have just got so much firepower that they can just surprise anyone. It's just mad. And as a result, that's why I still just think triple City, triple Liverpool, get it done. Sit back and watch the points roll in.
Yeah, and it just makes getting your sort of players around the triple City and the triple Liverpool so important. So I'm really happy with Haller because he's 6% owned. He's got Villa, United, Bournemouth, Palace, Everton. I mean, that's a great run of games for someone who's
so big on Haller. When his price came out, I actually said Haller that's good value. He's going to be a good player, and everyone was going mad saying that's going to be too much. And obviously, again, it was the fixtures starting against City. It was like we can't pick him in your Gameweek 1 team against City, and he is unproven at the end of the day.
But the thing is, we've got lucky though. We've got lucky because I think Haller probably is too expensive, but because we've got so many decent sort of mid-price options in that midfield, like Mount, like someone like Cantwell as well. You've got players like Martial at 7 was a really cheap.
Yeah, there's loads of them. Madison could be good. There's loads of little players around that price. McGinn, there's loads of them look decent. I agree with that, but
it kind of let you spend a bit more money on someone like Haller. So his 7.5 price didn't make too much. Didn't feel like too much damage.
It's like the Jimenez thing. He just looks like another Jimenez again to me. So Jimenez just keeps returning points, even though Wolves have been bad. He just keeps at it. You can make a case quite easily for just having Jimenez and Haller or something, and just have like that mid-price, that awkward price bracket, and just fill the rest of your team with Sons and Pepes and people. And I think you'd still do all right.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Well, I think that's probably about it. We've been talking for an hour and 15. I mean, it hasn't helped me personally knowing what I'm going to
do. Rest assured, it hasn't helped anyone.
No, okay? I can't really imagine.
Look, I haven't talked about fantasy football for 3 weeks now, so I'm just literally spurning a load of crap. Like, if people want to listen to that, that's up to them. But bear in mind, you're talking to a man who wildcarded because he saw Martial's price rising. So,
it's been quite nice because I think I haven't thought about it at all, like for the last week. So this is kind of like my my entry back into starting to think about some of these things and kind of what I want to do. So, yeah, I mean, it's helped me kind of therapeutically. I'm just not sure. I might play Pookie now over O'Connell. Maybe you've got into my head.
I would love that if you did that and O'Connell did hit 10 or 15 points. I would absolutely crack up.
You've given me two good bits of advice so far, though. You told me not to get mana, and you've told me.
Listen, as I told you, I'm good at giving advice. I'm great at giving advice. I'm just rubbish at following it myself. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. Right. Okay. That's it. Well, thanks, Luke. We will.
Thank
We missed the last one, but we're going to aim to do these every week. We haven't lost the desire. We just had some real life stuff that came up. So I'm afraid when real life stuff comes up on a Monday night, it will have to be rescheduled. And if it can't be rescheduled, then we're going to do it. But the aim is to do them each week. So we're going to carry on. Yeah, thanks. That's it.
Thank you. I'll get back to planning my Sky overhaul team.
Oh, nice. Good luck. I don't care about Sky. I should do. The prize is better.
I've got 17 grand in my back pocket off of Sky so I think you should care.
Have you actually?
Yeah, man. Over the last 7, 8, 9 years, of around 17 grand I've earned from Sky.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting harder every year though because people are realising it. So
I did not know that.
My time in the sun has gone, I think.
Don't bring the sun into this. I've got enough with. Cool. Right. Thanks, Luke. I'll chat to you. Are you doing the Scoutcast tomorrow?
No, I'm doing a Sky overhaul video.
Oh, okay. No. Cool. So I'll chat to you next week then.
See you later, mate.
Have a nice one. Bye.